If you want to abuse the most OP builds to start Season 16, then this video is going to cover exactly that. We've extensively researched and narrowed things down to 10 builds, 2 for each role that are incredibly powerful for 26.1, so you can look to collect some free elo before they get nerfed. And if you guys want to stay ahead of the meta for Season 16, then SkillCapped is the place to be. We've got a new course for this year that our challenger players will be working on, and it revolves around keeping you up to date with all the new meta trends. As soon as we discover something new, you can expect a video to go live within that course, breaking down exactly what we found. So whenever anything new pops up, whether it be a build, a strategy, or a rune setup, SkillCapped subscribers will be the first to know with access to this course. On top of this, we've got our weekly commentaries where our challenger experts walk you through how to carry out of the exact rank you're stuck in. We always upload 10 commentaries each week, but for the first week of the season, and going live on the 12th of January, we're releasing 20 commentaries covering the best champions, so a ton of content for you to get ahead in Season 16. And then, of course, you'll get access to our entire catalog of premium courses, as you'll be mastering wave control, vision, trading, and macro in no time. And the best part of all is that we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee. Climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCapped, or get your money back, no questions asked. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the top right corner of the screen or in the description below to get ahead of everyone else for Season 16. So far, one of the best Dusk and Dawn users is a top lane champion, as Gwen is excelling a bunch with the item. Right now, it's not even close as to how much more powerful Dusk and Dawn is compared to Nashor's Tooth or Riftmaker as Gwen's rush item. Dusk and Dawn is sitting up around a 53% win rate on Gwen, while Nashor's and Riftmaker are down below 49%. So just by rushing Dusk and Dawn, you turn Gwen from a pretty mediocre champion into one of the best top laners in the game. The reason Dusk and Dawn works so well on Gwen is because she loves all the stats it has to offer with health, AP, haste, and attack speed, and then the passive has great synergy with her kit. The passive from Dusk and Dawn reads that after using an ability, your next basic attack deals bonus magic damage and procs on hit effects twice. Since Gwen's passive from Q stacks up to 4 times, whenever you use an auto attack after a spell, you gain 2 stacks of this passive instead of 1. Since Gwen E deals on hit damage, Dusk and Dawn is also going to amplify that damage as well. So we have a few comparison clips here to show you the difference between Dusk and Dawn and Nashor's Tooth. If we just go for a very short trade where we E into Q, you are dealing 507 total damage with Dusk and Dawn as opposed to only 389 damage from Nashor's Tooth. So in terms of a shorter, bursty trading pattern, Dusk and Dawn is going to win out massively because of its passive. Where Nashor's will succeed more is in the longer, drawn-out fights, but not even by that much, to be honest. We did a test where we used the exact same extended trading pattern with both items, and Dusk and Dawn dealt 2,072 total damage, while Nashor's Tooth came in at 2,115. That's only a 43 damage gain for Nashor's over an extended fight. So because of the fact that Dusk and Dawn is so much more upfront burst power, you can see why its win rate is way higher than Nashor's. On top of this, Dusk and Dawn has 300 health and 5 more ability haste, while Nashor's is just pure DPS. So it's even more reason to incentivize Dusk and Dawn over Nashor's. Now, this doesn't mean that you're completely dropping Nashor's from your build though. In fact, it's still a core item on Gwen. You just want to delay it until 2nd and then pick up Riftmaker 3rd. A brand new Kale build has emerged for Season 16, and it revolves around Hextech Gunblade. The 2-item core of Nashor's and Gunblade is performing incredibly well on Kale, and when we compare the setup to Nashor's with Rabadon's in the practice tool, we could see why. Using an extended trade, Nashor's with Rabadon's is dealing 1,642 total damage. Nashor's and Gunblade with this exact same trading combo is dealing just a bit less at 1,574. Keep in mind though, we did not use the Gunblade active during this combo, and if we implement the active, then the damage is higher with Gunblade as opposed to Rabadon's. So if you're in a straight up 1v1 duel with an opponent in the mid game, Gunblade will be offering up more raw power than Rabadon's. Really key to note as well is that Gunblade is 500 gold cheaper than Rabadon's, provides 10% Omnivamp, and also has a much smoother build path. So those are massive pros to building the item over Rabadon's too. So a core that you will want to try out on Kale for 26.1 consists of a Gunblade rush into Nashor's Tooth 2nd and Rabadon's 3rd. One of the best Dusk and Dawn users in the game who you need to start building it on if you haven't already is Echo. Dusk and Dawn is blowing everything else out of the water analytically right now, as it's winning 54% of the time on Echo, with Nashor's down at 51% and Rocket Belt sitting at 48%. So why is Dusk and Dawn so good for Echo? Well, it's simply due to the fact that you proc your passive in 1 less auto attack. Using your E on an opponent will provide 2 stacks of Echo's passive, so all he needs to do is E into auto or EQ an opponent to get his passive proc. The worst feeling when you're playing Echo is when you just can't get that last auto attack off to proc his passive, so Dusk and Dawn completely alleviating that weakness is way too broken. After rushing Dusk and Dawn on Echo, you have 2 different ways in which you can follow with your build. You can opt for a more bursty one-shot style with Shadow Flame and Rabadon's, or you can go for Nashor's Tooth so that your extended fight power and side lane presence is much better. We do like Nashor's a bit more for mid lane Echo than for jungle, so even though we're talking about jungle Echo here, if you are a mid lane player, then siding with Nashor's slashers is what we'd recommend, while Shadow Flame will generally be better if you're playing Jungle Echo, as you can't be split pushing reliably in the mid game as a jungler when objectives are up. The ultimate AD Assassin Snowball build has been unlocked in Season 16, and it's extremely powerful for Zed. Zed Jungle has literally seen his win rate shoot up 3% for this season, so he's a champ you should definitely consider playing with this new setup. The rush item for Zed Jungle is going to consist of Umbral Glaive. Umbral Glaive is insane for Season 16 and is probably getting nerfed next patch, so abuse it while you can. Riot changed the item this season so that it provides way more damage, but the cost is up a bit from 2,500 to 2,800. A 300 gold increase in exchange for 5 more AD, 3 more lethality, 5 more haste, and a new passive that gives you bonus true damage on your next attack after being out of vision for at least 1 second, and then 4 seconds after being seen. So this is a great trade-off overall, and Umbral is the perfect snowball item because you still have the second passive where you reveal wards, so lurking in the fog of war and picking enemy squishies off is so easy when you have Umbral. Second item for Zed is going to be Voltaic Cyclo Sword, while the brand new item Bastion Breaker is slotted in third. Bastion Breaker works great as a third purchase because if you're snowballing, then it's likely at this stage in the game where you really want to be able to close out games by killing towers as fast as possible. The passive from Bastion Breaker works so that after scoring takedown, your next attack against a tower will deal bonus damage. So all in all, the Umbral with Bastion combo adds a completely new meaning to Snowball, as you can run away with games when you have this core completed. So a build that may be the most underrated in the entire game right now is Hextech Gunblade Silas. We went into Practice Tool and did some comparison tests between Rocket Belt and Gunblade, and it's not even close in terms of damage output. We even gave the Rocket Belt build an extra amp tome so that the cost of the builds were nearly the same, as Gunblade costs 3,000 gold, while Rocket Belt with an amp tome costs 3,050 gold. So what we found is that with a full combo, you are dealing 871 damage with Rocket Belt, while Gunblade is pumping out a total of 992 damage. So a 121 damage difference, which is extremely significant, and we didn't even use the Gunblade active. If you use the Gunblade active, then you can 100-0 a standard squishy mage with 1 rotation of spells, plus all your passive procs, and then 1 extra auto attack. Now, of course, we have to factor in that you aren't getting any health with Gunblade, and you aren't receiving any ability haste either, but in terms of outputting the most DPS, Gunblade is far superior. So if you want more damage with Silas in 26.1, then a Gunblade rush into Riftmaker 2nd is a really interesting new build that you should try. Not only is the damage great, but sustain coming out of the 2 items is incredible, as you have Omnivamp from both Gunblade and Riftmaker. AD Assassin mid laners are absolutely loving Season 16 so far, and Qiyana is most definitely one of them. Qiyana is able to take full advantage of how powerful both Umbral Glaive and Bastion Breaker are, and they should be incorporated into your core build. Umbral Glaive is currently winning 2% more than any other rush item on Qiyana, so it's pretty clear that it's a bit overtuned right now. Qiyana thrives when she's able to play in the fog of war where enemies can't see her, so the passive from Umbral Glaive is incredible for her. And then Bastion Breaker is going to give Qiyana a way to transition those catch plays into objectives for her team with the bonus damage it deals to towers. If you find a kill in the mid game but can't actually take a tower or an objective after that kill, then you're not really progressing in the game as much as you'd like. So Bastion Breaker makes it so that scoring kills are way more rewarding. Since there are tower plates on tier 2 and inhibitor turrets now, it makes Bastion Breaker even more attractive for Season 16, as the influx in gold you can get from taking down towers is insane. A build that we're really surprised isn't being played at a higher rate right now consists of rushing Stormrazor on Aphelios. So Aphelios is dominating in Season 16 with crit damage going up and with an added item slot for ADCs. Stormrazor is adding even more strength to the champ, as it's currently outclassing the Collector by around 3% win rate. The big draw to running Stormrazor instead of the Collector is the fact that the passive from Stormrazor provides 45% movement speed for 1.5 seconds. This is so massive for Aphelios because he's an ADC who lacks a gap closer, so now that he's got access to movement speed in his build, he's able to kite around in fights so much easier. Last season, there was a time where Ghostblade was the highest win rate rush item for Aphelios because of how valuable movement speed is for him, so Stormrazor coming back into the game has been a huge treat for the champ. The complete core build that you will want to run consists of a Stormrazor rush into Infinity Edge 2nd and Lord Dom's 3rd. There aren't too many ADCs who like running the new item Hex Optic C44, but one who absolutely loves it is Jinx. So far, Jinx players who are building the item are winning a ton, and it looks like going for a very AD heavy Jinx build is the most optimal right now in a lot of situations. 2-item core will continue to consist of Yuntal and Infinity Edge, but Hex Optic slotted in 3rd is working great. No other 3rd item has as high of a win rate as Hex Optic C44 on Jinx. Usually in that 3rd item slot, you would opt for Hurricane, but if the enemy team lacks a heavy front line, there's definitely less incentive to build Hurricane now, since Hex Optics is a great alternative. The reason Hex Optics works so well on Jinx is because she benefits from its passive to the fullest extent. Most ADCs don't have auto attack ranges that are longer than 700, but Jinx with her fish bones has an auto range of 720. In order to gain the max 10% bonus damage from Hex Optics passive, you need to be 700 range away, so Jinx auto range is perfect for this. Jinx also has long range abilities with her W and R, so it's not just from auto attacks where that bonus damage from Hex Optics will come into play. Finding those snipes with R will be way more lethal with Hex Optics. The second passive on Hex Optics provides your autos with 100 bonus range after scoring a takedown, so this combined with Jinx passive turns her into a monster whenever she gets a passive proc in a fight. A new Season 16 Senna build that looks to be really underrated right now consists of building Whispering Circlet as a core item. Whispering Circlet is the new tier item that was added to the game as it costs 2,250 gold, gives you 200 health, 300 mana, 75 base mana regen, and 8% heal and shield power. Its passive grants heal and shield power equal to 0.5% bonus mana. Once you get tier fully stacked, the item transforms into a diadem of songs, and the passive reads that while you or any allied champion you granted a heal or shield to in the last 3 seconds is in combat with champions, each second you heal the most wounded and nearest allied champion for 0.8% of your bonus mana. So, the main draws to the item is all the healing power it provides and the mass amount of mana you get. Whispering Circlet in combination with Echoes of Helia is really powerful. The passive on Echoes of Helia provides a heal as well, so spamming out Senna Qs in fights are going to provide your team with lots of healing power. The only issue with Senna Q is that it costs 110 mana at max rank, while Senna has a mana pool of 700 when she's level 10. So by going Whispering Circlet and increasing your mana pool by 1,000 once you have tier fully stacked, it just allows for Senna to very freely spam her Q in fights without worrying about mana issues and makes Enchanter Senna so much more viable. And then for the 10th and final build of the video, you need to be taking advantage of Bandlepipe's Braum. Surely Riot's going to nerf this item next patch because it currently has a 3% better win rate than Locket as Braum's rush item. Bandlepipes is going to cost 2,000 gold and offer up 200 health, 15 ability haste, 20 armor, and 20 magic resist. Its passive is what's super OP though, as whenever you slow or immobilize a target, you get 20% movement speed for yourself, and then you and your teammates get bonus attack speed, 30% for melee, and 20% for range. So the whole idea behind Bandlepipes on Braum is that whenever you land a Q, your ADC then gains 20% attack speed, which allows them to follow up for a passive proc faster. The faster you proc Braum passive, the faster the enemy is stuck, not being able to deal any damage. So it just makes the overall skirmish strength of Braum that much better. After you rush Bandlepipes, Locket as a second purchase is ideal, and then Solstice Slay will be the item upgrade. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's gonna wrap everything up for our first edition of the OP builds as we enter into Season 16. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back soon.